From the middle of the evergreen forest to an undisclosed location just outside of Area 51. This is Walk Like a Mailman.
Walk like a mailman.
Yeah, I was waiting for you to do something like that. Anyway, we are your hosts, Griffin. Say,
Hello.
you're supposed to wait. You couldn't wait like half a
We
millisecond.
can't do the same bit every single episode, guys. I mean, we gotta change it up a little bit.
Okay, we're your hosts. Say, I am an impatient, you know what,
I am an impatient, you know what?
and I am Jeffro. Thank you for joining us for episode. Was this four?
Yes.
Oh man, time is
Or
flying. Yes, four, like the Fantastic Four.
so we're
So let's
the
jump up
Fantastic Four
into
movie.
it. We got a like packed show today, so I'm gonna try to like squeeze every little drop out of this one.
Alrighty.
So we got a multifaceted housekeeping. First of all, the A1 bullet point here. By the way, I like A1 sauce. I don't know. I don't know. That's a discussion for later. Not this show, but maybe like a later thing. A1 sauce. Where do you stand? A1 or not A1? Pick a side and let's do battle. Anyway, sorry, man. Yeah, this show is gonna get loose real quick. Anyway, so multiple faceted housekeeping here. First of all, please rate, review, and or subscribe. Really helps the show stay alive. But top priority, like Priority Express. Um, Most importantly, it does help others find the show. Whatever's available, subscribe, follow. Um, just
Tell your
rate
friends.
and
Tell your friends' friends. Tell the
yeah,
friends,
and
friends, friends, friends.
if you're a carrier and you are listening to this, like tell another carrier about it. That's what the original intent was of this is for carriers, but not just for carriers. So we are definitely very happy to provide this as far as like either entertainment or something that you can enjoy as far as being a mail carrier. Pass it along to another mail carrier or another friend. That's exactly why we're doing this here. So outside of that, something else I don't want to say has been brought to my attention, but like in talking to other people and people messaging me, um, just in case, there's a disclaimer in our introduction or in our description. And I don't feel like I've listened to other shows, and I don't feel like I have to like record this every single time. But just in case, I'm going to do it this one time only. But the views and opinions expressed by Walk Like a Mailman are those of us, the authors, and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the United States Post Office. Um, we're here to like, and as far as personally, and I've like, heard of other like situations and stories of people trying to like do like social media or outlets, and they discuss their like employment. And we are not here to like malign or to like, I'm not that type of person. I take pride in what I do and take pride in like my position. I'm not here to like be a thorn in the side of the system. I'm not gonna, this isn't my like platform to gripe about what it is that I do.
And quite
I'm
frankly,
here.
I don't want to hear about the griping. I want to
Yeah,
learn
if I
about
did that, I probably
I
would be
want to
doing
learn
this.
about the Postal Service in a way that I don't from TV, movies, and whatever.
Yeah, I'm not here to like, this platform isn't here to bring down the system or bring down or to like complain. I'm here to like be informative, to be enjoyable, and to, and yes, there will be moments where, they're just like any other, aspect of life. There is, pros and cons, and I will discuss all of it in a very honest manner. But I'm definitely not here to, like, do like a bitch party about the post office. So, and then, like I said, multifaceted. I know I could research the abbreviations. Everyone like brings that up to me. It's like, you could just like Google like what DPS stands for and all that stuff. I already do put like a substantial amount of like research and time into constructing and, making this rundown. Um, I would even bet that most carriers, don't know what the acronyms stand for. I enjoy like the aspect of it to where like I share the ones that I do know and the ones that I have discovered, and then I like to like maybe like take a stab at it, like a blind stab at like guessing the ones that I don't. If you do know them, email me at walklikeamailman@gmail.com. I'll be more than happy. Like I will give you a shout out. I will like give you props, and I will like let you know, or I will, discuss it on the show as far as, how stupid I am, I guess. Uh, and then this is like a little like tease for later on in the show. There is an update on the title for, lack of a better term, the topic of the day. Last episode, I did say that I like, did enjoy to put like things in like nice little boxes, and I actually kind of like in my own way, I crowdsourced a title and like reached out to multiple, places. And ironically, I think it's like Just to Spite Me. The most popular is What's in the Box. Actually, I thought it would be like, cool. Or the title, I thought it was like interesting, and it kind of alludes to like, mail or packages and whatnot. So, but we'll have fun with that later. In the segment, What's in the Box, formerly known as Topic of the Day. So there we go.
$5.
That's my opening spiel. How are you, Griffin? It's been like a whole week since I've heard your voice.
I am doing well. I'm doing well. I have my garage door opener logic board, and I'm going to be setting my appointment this week.
You're cyber dying. By the way, that was a Terminator reference. I know,
Yes.
like, I thought that was like kind of, you know, kind of like a universal reference, but and last week I did like spin. I was like got upset at
I know it's a
myself.
Terminator reference there too, buddy.
Yeah, and yeah, that's what I and it wasn't like Cyberdyne. Like Skynet was like the first major like idea or reference for like the revolt, but then later on when they made all like the movies later on, that's where Cyberdyne came from, right?
No, Cyberdyne came like in the second movie.
Oh,
May
okay.
have even been referenced in the first movie a little bit.
Yeah. And sidebar, Ron Wolf, and this is like something that like bothered me for like the whole entire week. So Ron Wolf was 80s Raiders and the 90s Packers, but in looking closer, I guess he like, and that's what made me confused, is he started with the Packers in like the 70s, went to the 80s Raiders, and then went back to the Packers. So it was kind of like a thing, and that's probably where like it threw me off. And then also Foreigner, the songs that I was trying to think of, the ones that they did in Aqua Teen Hunger Force, that was Hot Blooded and Double Vision. So these things, they like bother me, and I get like in the Hot
It's
Blooded and
starting to
Double
bother
Vision.
me that we're making corrections on our podcast. I feel like we kind of just should just let the mistakes
Yeah,
happen,
but
let it go, and move on to the next
I
week.
click I literally we like clicked out yesterday, and it was instantaneous, where like as soon as we clicked out, I was like, ah. I even texted you when it had like when it happened. I was like, Hot Blooded, Double Vision. Those were on Aqua Teen. I don't know why I couldn't think of it, you know?
I make mistakes every week, and I'm not gonna go back and then just correct all of my mistakes. We'll be here all day if we do that.
Yeah. Well, that's No, no, we won't because I'm done. So that's all it took. You just have
That's
to
the end of the
suffer.
show, people. See you next week.
Yes, Griffin is officially quit. I'm sorry. Uh, so Griffin, I didn't put this on the rundown because I wanted you to be I don't know,
Surprised by
very
this?
not, yeah, surprised, but I want you to like I want to get your authentic like appreciation here.
Okay.
Today is a very special day. It's a holiday, actually. Do you know what holiday it is today?
No, I don't know what holiday it is because I thought it was Groundhog Day on Friday, and I guess it's not Groundhog Day today.
No, it is, and this is like fact. I don't know the level of holiday that it is, but it is a fact that it is 100% happy National Thank a Mail Carrier Day.
Is
It
that
is
a sound
actually,
effect?
yes, yeah, I know. Ooh, fancy. Uh, that's actually a kid's toy, and I like. Hopefully, like it doesn't sound as janky as the actual toy that it is.
We'll have to find out when we listen to the recording.
Yes. Uh, National Thank a Mail Carrier Day is February 4th. Did you know that?
No, I did
I
not know that.
guarantee you, like even the mail carriers that are listening to this don't know that there is a National Thank a Mail Carrier Day, but it is February 4th, and it is like legit. Um, Partially, I am very like I won't say against, but like I'm very like opposed to like these like I think it's like an internet thing where like they have to like every single day has to be a holiday of some sort. It's like National Eat a Donut Day or whatever, you know.
Oh, dude, my coworker's got like one of those calendars
Yeah,
that has a wacky day for like every single day. So I
yeah.
know exactly what you're talking about.
The post office actually has two of them. Today is, and it's so I was coincidence like I was just like oh hell yeah when I when I found out because we're actually recording on February 4th, which is when I saw it I was like oh we're actually recording on Thank Mail, so I will like let you have the floor for however long it takes. Do you want to say something to me?
Well, thank you for doing your civic duty as a postal employee and making sure that I get all of my political flyers.
Is that it?
Yeah, am I supposed to, am I supposed to say anything else?
No, that was it. Okay, so but yes, we there is another one, and it's not a just a mail carrier. In July, I believe it will be National Postal Worker Day. So there is actually 2 days designated to like postal employees. One's a mail carrier day, and one's just general, uh, you know, postal employee day. So and
What else is on the rundown for today?
yeah. So I am actually cringing to myself because we have to give props or flowers or whatever disgusting term you want to put to the 49ers and the Chiefs. If you
Well,
came to
somebody have
me,
to make it to the Super Bowl.
yes, they
Couldn't have been
did
the two
win.
teams that we wanted.
It is news. It is if you like at the very beginning of the season was like two teams that you don't want to be in the Super Bowl. But you know, whatever the case may be, they did it. No one else did. So, and then of course it's
The
like,
Lions had a 17-point lead. Like, they blew
oh,
it pretty hard.
I don't even want to talk about it because the Ravens themselves. I mean, they were down 7, and Zay Flowers like fumbled on the half-yard line to tie up the game. I mean, literally the half-yard line. Like it. Yeah, but once again, I'm not trying to do like a hate parade here. Once they
Oh,
make
say
it,
that for our
it's just
mailbox.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Uh, So once again, just give props to the teams that are going to make it. So, or that did make it, and we will be watching in a week, the 49ers and Chiefs. And then, of course, when you talk to anybody, from like your mailman to like, the guy at the gas station, all they bring up is like, oh, well, I'll bet you the NFL is happy because of Taylor Swift and all that stuff, and it's funny that we've like actually made it this far and Taylor Swift like has not made it into this show. So I want to, let you know that we are not above pandering on this show. We definitely, I don't know. I'm not a person that wants to be like, oh, like, shaking my fist at the clouds type guy, and at the same time, I don't want to be like, oh, like, because when you hear that, I've heard that like that's the take where it's like, you hear like these, sports pundits or whoever, and they're like hardcore, like, oh, I'm a Swiftie and all that stuff. And then when you start listening to them, you don't know if they're like being ironic or not. It's like, listening to like this like 50, 60-year-old guy, like, talking about, all blank spaces and all
Do you
the,
remember when Belichick went to a Swift concert before the season started and he was like all bragging about like how awesome Taylor Swift was because she like played out in the rain?
if you talk to me about Bill Belichick about anything other than him playing football or not playing football or coaching football, and you want to talk to me about anything about
Or not
Belichick,
even his walk of shame from earlier this year.
that's stop doing that. You're like ruining, you're like spoiling my bits here. That's exactly where I was gonna go with it. If anyone gets a moment and you haven't seen it yet, watch Belichick and the ring cam, and he's doing like the walk of shame. That's what everyone calls it. No one knows like the actual true story behind it, but of course that's where everyone goes to. It looks exactly like that. But Bill Belichick, so that's I don't care what he says about Taylor Swift. I want to know what he says about what that ring cam footage was about. So trying to not make this run too long, I am going to do what I know about Taylor Swift, and I am going to try and list everything I know about Taylor Swift in 89 seconds. I think I can do it. I'm not like a super like Swifty fan, but I'm in the
Do I need
middle where it's
to
like,
make a stopwatch over here to make sure you don't go over 89
yes,
seconds?
do not let me go 1 millisecond over 89 seconds.
All right, well, whenever you're ready, I'll start the
Okay,
clock.
okay. And everyone knows why I chose 89 seconds. That is,
Well,
a
I don't know. Maybe
reference.
maybe people don't know why you chose
She
89
was born
seconds.
in 1989, and that is the name of one of her albums.
See,
Is
well, I
1989.
don't know that because I don't really pay attention to Taylor Swift music. So
Yeah,
let me
and
start the clock. All right.
when I told people I was going to do this, they thought that like I wasn't even going to be able to get like 22 seconds into this because
Okay.
people just
Well.
assume that I'm not a Swifty, but that
Okay. Okay. Quit
anyway.
stalling. Okay. We'll
I
get
know,
to it.
like
All
I'm like
right.
pulling up my
We'll
notes
start the
here.
clock.
Okay.
3, 2, 1, go.
Okay, Taylor Swift, I believe, was born in Pennsylvania. I don't believe. I know she was born in Pennsylvania. You can see her wearing like Eagles, like back in the day, like Eagles sweatshirts, Eagles garb. There's even like a fan conspiracy that she is dating Kelsey, because she's like trying to destroy them from within. So that way, if they faced each other next year or this year in the Super Bowl, that she would destroy the Chiefs. So that way the Eagles can win over them. Somewhere after the beginning, she moved to Tennessee, maybe like when she was around 9 to 12, right around there, because she was influenced by Dolly Parton and like Faith Hill and stuff like that. And she's trying to get into the country music biz. Uh, she starts making music, getting popular. I believe Kanye is this is the moment where like I kind of got really knowledgeable of it. Kanye interrupts her at the VMA speech. I'm gonna let you finish, but then goes on about like Beyonce should have won. Taylor Swift releases a song named "Shake It Off." It's the only reason. The only reason why I distinctly remember it is because I'm like a closeted Supernatural fan, and they made it a parody. Angel's gonna play. Demon's gonna hate. I just, like I said, I like Supernatural. If that's out there. Then there's lyrics that Taylor supposedly made in her songs
That
that reference.
time.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe next week we'll do another 89 seconds because that's right about halfway. So yeah, you know what? I'll just yeah. Okay. You know what?
Save that
I
for
kind of
next week. Let's put a
I
pin in
feel
it.
like I like got stuck in a supernatural hole, and that's not fair to Taylor. So, but yeah, I guess like we're gonna have a lot of time of her being like uh in the news
Well,
for the
I don't know
Super
if you
Bowl
saw
like
this or not,
preview.
but they're apparently offshore websites are having predictions about whether or not Kelsey is going to propose to Swift at the Super
Yeah,
Bowl.
no, that's and then they like talk about how like Swift is like it's like politically aligning with like Biden, and they're going to like I don't know. It's yeah, both of those I think are very like people just trying to get clicks is what I assume all that's about. Um, yeah, so we're this is not going to be the end of probably us mentioning Taylor Swift.
Hopefully, the end for this episode, though, we can talk
Yeah,
about some
yeah, no,
postage stuff.
she's you know, and maybe we can get like some you know some runoff, some Taylor Swift runoff. Uh, so let's just get into the meat of it right now. I know we're running a little long here for where it's at in the rundown, but so let's get to what's in the box. And I like I messaged you. The reason why obviously what's in the box is a thing is because of Seven, the film, right?
What's in the box? What's in the box?
What's in the box? I think I told you that I was going to give it to you if you gave a pretty good performance, and I feel like that's definitely worth it. I think from now on you're going to be our sounder. Every time we do what's in the box, I'm going to hand it off to you. Um, what's in the box today? Um, Also formerly known as topic of the day, is like based around the perks of this job. Um, I realized, or we were like going through like the last couple topics, and it was like, you know, me griping about, and like appropriately so, people needing to empty the mail out of their mailbox, and then dog bites. And I just kind of felt like we were heading in like kind of like a negative mudslide, you know? So I wanted to like kind of uplift it for the newest topic of the day, or what's in the box. So I wanted to like go over like the perks, and I kind of like very slightly mentioned it in a previous episode. You know, kind of like as a callback to like what the perks of this job is, and I kind of want to more do like a deep, deep, deep dive into you know, reasons to be a mail carrier, reasons to stay as a mail carrier, and reasons to brag to your friends that you're a mail carrier. Um,
You got like a list,
so,
or like just just gotta run these
well,
down.
yeah, I'm going to like, you know, go into this, and if we run a little long, I'll finish it on the other side of the break here. So, um, there are perks to like, you know, all jobs, obviously. My last job, I worked for a print shop. Um, we had like unlimited access to like any kind of software. We're specifically like software, like editing software, like Photoshop and Illustrator and the whole like Microsoft suite and all of that. And I was started that when I was in college, and excuse me, that was very much you know useful when I was in college, and I kind of like stuck around. And obviously as well, it was in Las Vegas, and that being in a print shop in Vegas, um, you start to like network and like gain early access to like shows and like privy information and events, and you like I don't know, I got connected with a decent amount of people to where like it was people would come in and get things printed like business cards, resumes, just posters, all different types of an assortment of like products. And then we would have conversations, and then it would turn into like I would get free swag basically. But moving on to like that was kind of like my a job, and I really enjoyed that job. But my current career, I would have to say like the best benefits of this career is you're kind of outside, you're in like fresh air, you don't have like a supervisor like over your shoulder, you're not like in an office in like a cubicle staring at a monitor all day. um, More importantly, it's like you stay healthy with exercise. It's funny, people actually on the route, they always like say like exercise, like, oh yeah, you must get real good exercise, how many miles do you walk a day? And I always kind of like retort and like say to them like, there's a difference between that and what I do, which is like labor. I mean, yes, it keeps my lower body like toned, and like you should see the calf muscles in the like post office, like of all the carriers. The calf muscles are ridiculous, because all of the miles that we're logging on our bodies. But it keeps the blood pumping. When I'm sick on this, being on the street actually helps me get me through it, with the breathing and the lungs and the blood pumping. He also keeps you like distracted. It's just nice to have like especially in agreeable weather, it's nice to be outside in like the fresh air. So when you do work on the street, um, like I said, it's just like there's no one like over your shoulder browbeating you. It's typically just kind of like it's just you and the street. Um, so like
You have a
previous
lot
jobs,
of
I
inner office drama between you and the other postal employees.
no, I mean there is. It's just like any other job. I mean, I'm sure you could go to like the ranks of any type of like high level job all the way down to like a gas station job. There's always going to be drama, and there's always going to be. I wasn't going to go in this part, but mail carriers are known, or we like are just. It's just like common knowledge around ours that we work a lot of hours at the post office, and there tends to be like a lot of people tipping their pens and company ink, if you catch my drift, uh, because it's like we spend so much time in the office. We don't have as much time to like spend having a life outside of the post office. I mean, it's a career that asks you to be very dedicated. So there is a kind of it's a big part of your life if you're being a mail carrier. So but there's no like in previous jobs, like I've worked retail, I've worked like for a grocery store and all that stuff. There's when you work those types of jobs, there's always, it feels like you got like 7 8 managers like over you, like you have like the supervisor, a manager, the assistant to the regional manager. Office reference. But we do have people that oversee us. We do have supervisors and managers that we have to answer to, but it just from my experience and from my, interactions with them, and I'm talking with all of them. I don't agree with all of the supervisors or managers, but it's not to the level of like micromanaging and like, you know, browbeating that you get from other jobs, So, like I said, and even like, I mean, I said that like we're not in like an office all day, like staring at a monitor and stuff. And, like previously mentioned, like in previous episodes, we do have office time, but even like the office time is built around us trying to like limit it as much as possible so that way we can get the hell out of there and then get to the street, where our actual real job consists of. And this thing that I'm going to mention is something that I was not aware of. I was aware of its existence, but I wasn't aware of its effect and its like, I don't know, its impact on being an employee, and it's the union. The mail carriers union is this like crazy, like strong entity that I've never like heard or learned about to like this extent as far as a union goes. Like I said, I worked at a grocery store, and a little history. I was actually a butcher. I learned and trained to be like a meat cutter, and I was part of the meat cutters union, which is like crazy strong. And then even when you're like working for like the actual grocery store, the union for them was always known to be, a really good and strong entity. But it just like so crazy, like pales in comparison to like what I've witnessed the USPS union being. It's just like the only way you can get fired, I basically, from what I've seen, is like not showing up to work or showing up late. Like, I mean, it would have to be repeat offender of that. And then, of course, the obvious ones are accidents and like stealing the mail. Um, but even those, or even when you do those, the union makes it like a much bigger obstacle for you to be let go or for you to receive uh, any kind of punishment for those acts. So, uh, how are we on time?
You got about 6 minutes. I thought you had a
Okay,
clock this time around.
I I'm just checking in with you to see if you wanted to take a break. You are the
We got a few
boss.
more minutes, and then we can take a pause.
Okay, and then I'll tease what we're going to come back from essentially. And that this to me, and it's totally 100% personal to me. It is, my, like I said, slender view of how I view the world is the biggest perk of the job. And that's becoming like a part of a neighborhood, becoming a pillar of the community. I'm not trying to like do any kind of like navel gazing here. I'm not trying to like, blow myself up to being, I mean, it is Thank a Mail Carrier Day, so I guess I kind of feel a little entitled. But I do, you do learn and you do view it as providing a service, for like things that we do. It's to add on to, like I said, a previous episode, we deliver like prescriptions, passports, credit cards, driving paperwork, and plates. I mean, even when talking about COVID, even when COVID happened, oh man, remember for carriers when we had to deliver all of the free COVID tests, and all of those were trackable like packages. I mean, we had to spend a lot of time and effort, delivering those, and that's providing a service to the American public, and that's just kind of how I view our job, or view my job as far as, the reasons why I, come back, and I, if I'm having a bad day, um, like there was one time I was like talking to a carrier, and he was like a newer one. I think he had just been converted. And sidebar, I will talk about more of like the process of like new employees and being converted and all that stuff. If you don't know that, like if I say that term, being converted or being regular, I will that will be a future segment,
Yeah, I definitely don't know what
discussing that.
the heck you're talking about right now.
Yeah, exactly. But but that will be like that's one of the ones coming up is me talking about the ladder that you do when you climb through being a carrier, and also how it's changed throughout time. When I started as a new carrier was much different than it was 20-30 years ago when they started off being a new carrier, and it's actually like probably even more different than what it's like when you're a new carrier right now. So but anyway, as I was, as I digress here, so I was talking to a carrier, and he was a newer guy, and I actually like kind of was involved with his training. But I like kind of like checked back in on him, and I'm like, hey man, and he works at another station. I'm like, how you been? And we like kind of ran into each other, and he was telling me a story where he was doing, his route. He was delivering mail, and he came up to a house, and he even said he was like lucky that like because he had his headphones in and he could kind of like hear something, but he wasn't too sure if it was like just him or what it was. So he took his headphones out, and he could hear a man like crying out, like he like a guy like shouting for help inside a house that he was delivering to. So long story short, yada yada yada, like Seinfeld, yada yada yada, and then skip the important part. No, but he called the police, and I guess it was like an older gentleman, and he fell down, and I think he like broke some bones, or like he like something fell on top of him or something. He was in distress. He needed help, and if it wasn't for the mail carrier coming by that day, he would that who knows what that man's future, or that man's destiny would have been that day. How long would that guy still be there, if it wasn't for the mail carrier, and Griffin taking that carrier taking a moment, and being able to.
I did a good thing there.
Yeah, exactly. And you hear stories about that like all the time being a carrier, and like things come down, we get like newsletters, and talking about all the different good deeds carriers are connected to. So I got a couple more, and we'll definitely on the other side of the break we'll get into maybe more of that, and then also go to like other perks and benefits of being a mail carrier.
Stay tuned to Walk Like a Mailman.
Okay, welcome back to Walk Like a Mailman. Yes, you've heard that correctly. It is National Thank a Mail Carrier Day.
Thank you.
like, like beat me to the punch. I this is like probably the only reason why I have friends in general, just so that way I can stroke my ego. Yes, well, you're welcome. I do it for a lot of like personal pride as far as like this job goes. um the pay isn't bad at this job, but it's definitely a lot of carriers will be like jaded and be like, I don't know, like sour grapes about their pay and talking about how they're not paid enough. Like I don't think carriers have like like a soapbox to stand on per se. like teachers and educators. I think those are the ones that are underpaid. Um, I mean, it would be nice, and I think compared to like old pay structures, we definitely are underappreciated in that aspect. But you know, that's not totally why I do the job. And to continue off of what we were talking about before we were in the break, we are definitely pillars of the community. We are civil servants. We you know like I was discussing earlier, we also like in the office you hear stories, or like in newsletters, or like it is like common knowledge between us, of like different stories of um, like what carriers are involved with, as far as we're in a neighborhood and we're there pretty much every single day, 6 days a week for the most part, for the whole entire year. That's a lot of time spent in like one area. You build relationships with a lot of people. You build a lot of trust with a lot of people. These are extremes, but you do even hear like there's like a burning building, or a burning home, and carriers, they'll contact the emergency vehicles, or they'll contact they'll call 911. They've even been known to like and this is extreme and it's not recommended, but they've like run into like burning homes and like saved people out of those. There's even I think the most common occurrence, and what is like kind of talked about the most like in the academy, um is, let's just say you're in your neighborhood and you're on your route and you start to like like an unusual occurrence where it's like you're putting mail into a mail slot or a mailbox, and this person is like kind of like your your rock, as far as like a customer or a resident that checks his mail or their mail like every single day, and then all of a sudden the mail builds up, and they didn't put in a vacation hold, and they're even known to be really kind of reliable on that. If you like like usually when Mr. Smith goes on vacation, he puts in a vacation hold, and then the mail builds up and the mail builds up. We have been known, and we're actually kind of encouraged to like contact the call 911, and help the authorities do welfare checks on our residents, our people. um
Do you ever have
it's
one
had
of these moments you talk about where you have to jump into a burning building and save little Fluffy?
no, I have the closest thing I've come to any kind of emergency situation is I've like there's been times where like there was like domestic arguments, or like some kind of like beef that's been going on between two people, and I kind of like helped, I don't want to say helped break up the situation, but I've uh you know helped people kind of like uh I'm trying not to like I don't know, go
You
into
haven't
too much
called the
detail.
police or anything on in that situation or anything like that, or
Yeah, you just you're always recommended to contact or call the authorities. That's your default should always be that. You should. It's just like any other job. Like when you're being robbed, they say, hey, like don't try to be a hero and grab the gun or like go after the robber. Just give them what they want, and then call the authorities. And that actually is kind of like alluding to like a future show as well. You know, Carriers are a lot of times put in precarious situations when it comes to you know yeah, that's actually been kind of like a rising issue. Um, and it was going to be something that I was going to bring up eventually, but because of its frequency, I'm probably going to be talking about that very soon here. As far as like um, the safety of our carriers, a lot of carriers are having issues. Um, and that happened in one of our stations. Someone rolled up on one of our carriers, so I that will be definitely coming. You know, in a very short amount of time.
Put a pin in
But
that one.
yeah, that's it, it's like I said, it was on like kind of like my the mental uh you know like cycle as far as like something I wanted to talk about, but because of its kind of like it's actually becoming a national, I don't say crisis, but it's definitely becoming a national issue, and carriers are kind of like rising up and like wanting more protection while they're out on the street, because we're out there to do a job, but we're vulnerable. We're kind of meant to just do a job. We're not meant to like protect all of the valuables and all of the items that we have with us.
Let's circle back to some of the more positive aspects about working for the
Yeah,
Postal
exactly.
Service.
Some of the reasons why you would want this job, like I said, it's personal pride. These are things, these issues come with being a civil servant. And that's what I was trying to like, why I was talking about it. It's like you have to have a personal pride in this job. Yeah, I feel for, and once again, not trying to compare myself to them, to uh, emergency responders, the authorities. We are not at that level, but we do have some similarities and parallels with them. We are a part of the community. We are a part of, providing a service. And if you don't have that pride, and you're jaded and you look at it like it's just another 9 to 5 job where you got to get up early, and you don't want to work overtime, and you don't want to put your time in, you want to get out as soon as you can. You're just going to make it a little bit more difficult on you. I myself, I would not rather have any other job in the world. I love my job. That might be taking it a little far. I did, but it's the God's honest truth. When I got into this job, it's made me recognized. This is a marathon reward type job. It's not like a sprint, like instant enrichment. It's not instant gratification type job. You're not gonna like go to work and walk 13 miles and be like, oh man, like I really made a difference today. But if you want to look at it like on the other side of it, instead of personal pride, and talk about the financial perks of this job. It is, like I said, like something where you got to look like at the light at the end of the tunnel type job. Numero uno. I was like saying to myself, I'm never going to say that term. I hate when I use that term, but I love, for whatever reason, speaking Spanish when I'm talking about number one. So the number one kind of thing that I always go, like I always tell people, it's like every step I take, every move I make. No, I'm playing. I'm not going to make that reference. But every step I take, it's one step closer to my federal government pension. But that's what I always tell everyone. It's like if you're really looking for a reason, and I'll be training like young, like 18-year-old kids or 20-year-old kids, and I'm like you have no like reason to like think that far ahead, or like recognize what the actual like benefit of having a federal government pension. And then once you retire, that's the thing, is that's how they get you. If like you can retire in like 15-20 years. But then if you work till like 25 years, you'll get like another bump on your federal your pension, you know. So then you're like, well, what's another 5 more years if I'm going to get, you know, another bump on, you know, a pension, you know, every 2 weeks, you know. And then, you know, you work those 5 years and you're like, well, if you do five more, and then that's when, you know, of course, like Susie's going to college and you got to pay for tuition now, and you're like, okay, well, 5 more years will help out on paying a you know, student loan, you know. So then you end up, and that's how they get you with the mail carriers, you know. But that's always kind of like, that's the like long of the longest like term goals is like a federal pension. They also kind of like sweeten the pot with a thing that we call a TSP account. Like every percentage of a paycheck, you can like even organize it and bump it up a little bit from like 3% to 5% or whatever. But they'll take like 3% of your check or like five, or you can, I don't know what the highest setting you can put it at, but they will match it. So every single check, you put 5% away in this TSP account. And if you put in 5%, they'll match it. So they're basically putting like 10% of, you know, the money, like the value of 10% of every single paycheck they'll put into an account. And then when you retire, it's just like a straight out like an account that, like, you know, pairs up with your pension, as far as like you just get like a, you know, kind of like a check, and that check is whatever you put into the TSP account. I'm not an expert on retirement and all of that. I'm just talking about like the benefits, you know. Obviously they have like good medical and dental. um, they always say, like, you know, when carriers, like, you know, you're working and you're like, you know, living the life and having an awesome life being a
The
carrier.
man's life in the United States Postal Service.
Yes, sounds like those I don't know, one of those like reefer madness videos. A good life until he got hooked on the marijuana.
Dun dun dun.
Yes, until he got into the wrong crowd. uh but yeah, no, it's, you know, I don't know how we got on that, and then I'm going to go back to talking about medical and dental. We have good medical and dental. But then what happens is, once you get kids, or you have kids and you are a mail carrier, or you work for the post office, not post office, once you work for the post office and you start having a family, like that's when they lock you in. Like that's when you're stuck, you know, when you're stuck, because, you know, there's the benefits are, you know, top level and top notch, and you go to any place else, it's like, you know, there's not a lot of benefits that like can compare to, you know, the medical and dental and vision of you know, the post office. um but let's just talk about like instant gratification here, right? So if you are working and like I'm on the overtime list, so this is like kind of like a more than typical account in my occurrences. Let's just say you're working, right, and you do an 8 hour day, right? That is just your regular pay. But if you go over 8 hours, like any other job that you're probably like familiar with, you get paid overtime, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's familiar with overtime. That's like time and a half usually,
Yeah.
right? So once you go into time and a half, that's actually between 8 and 10 hours. But this is the first job that I've like, and I think that this is like, I don't know, there's like a thing where like I was listening to or watching where they were talking about all other federal jobs, and actually even comparing it to other federal jobs. Being a postal employee is like really financially beneficial when it comes to the type of pay that we have. But anything over 10 hours. So like if we work a 12-hour day, right, which I do like usually 2 to 3 times a week, if the time between the 10 hours and the 12 hours, or actually 10 and then on forward, is double pay. It's actually the technical term, the actual technical term is called penalty. When you go into penalty, right? And it's the only job that I've ever experienced where like that's kind of a, a very, very, very common thing of people going into double time pay, right?
That must be your union at it again.
Oh, that's like I said, the union is like super, super strong, and it's in the
I
contract.
mean that
It's
in a positive way. I
yeah,
don't mean
yeah,
like
yeah.
negative.
It is positive. Trust me. Like when, and then we have, and that was another thing that I was going to do for a future show is talking about scheduling and the types of schedules that we work. There's different options that we get, especially once we become regular. Um, there are options, and we can choose for like overtime, right? And we can choose to be on an overtime list. I keep on mentioning this overtime list that will be coming. I guarantee you, talking about the benefits and the downsides of working an overtime list. But the benefit is they allow you to work your day off. And that's a big reason why I go on the overtime list. So you always have Sunday off. That's kind of like your normal day. But your other day off, your second day off that week rotates, right? I won't go into the rotation right now, but let's just say my day off landed on Wednesday, right? And then I go in on Wednesday because I'm on the overtime list and they allow me to come in on my day off, right? So if you work on your scheduled day off, we call it an SDO. That's one acronym that I do know. Like, trust me, like I don't know like half of the acronyms, but when it comes to my day off, I know that one and I know how it's spelled and I know how it's spelled backwards. I know SDO. SDO stands for scheduled day off. And on your SDO, your Wednesday day that I have off, if I come in that day, I get all day overtime, right? So it kind of already bumps it up. So if I work 8 hours that day, it's like you're working 12 hours that day, right? Right?
Yes,
I'm a
yes, yes.
mathematician. You're my math guy. You're my accountant, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay. Come along with me on this one. But every hour or every minute that you work over 8 hours on your day off is double time. So it immediately bounces, like it uprates. Regular time is overtime, and then overtime is bumped up to double time, right? So then if you work 10 hours, that's like, like 2 additional hours, it's like four, right? So that's basically, if you work 10 hours, that's like working 2 full days and you're getting paid like you're working 2 full days of 8 hour days. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Just for working one day for 10 hours, you're getting paid like you're working 2 full days. So, like I said, instant gratification, instant benefits. The pay isn't, as bad, especially when you get on the overtime list. And that's another reason why you get hooked on the overtime list because you go on the overtime list and then you'll be expecting the certain pay, and then if you don't work on your day off, that you'll notice that'll be definitely a divot in your paycheck.
But that's a double-edged sword though, because sometimes you really genuinely need a day off to recharge.
Oh yeah, tell me about it. And you can't schedule like anything, like try to get like a try to do a doctor's appointment when you're working 6 days a week and the only day off you have is Sunday. It's something that it is a trade-off, but it's and if you're in a good enough system or a station, they will work with you. They'll uh they'll let you do like a case and go is a term what we call when you like just case the mail up, and then you get to leave after that. And then the rest of the day, you get the choice between LWOP, which is leave without pay, and then you also get, or you can get like vacation pay. But we're running a little long, so I'll just kind of go over the next like two things here as far as like instantaneous like gratification as far as financial. There's also well, it's not instant, but we have good annual leave, which to other people it's the same thing as vacation pay. It builds up pretty fast, so we always get good vacation pay, and that actually caps out at like I don't know what the actual number is. I think it's like 200 and something hours. So if you don't use it enough, you'll like it's a like use it or lose it system, but
So you
it's
usually
at a
lose it
cap.
every year, or do you like just
Yeah,
stop
every
that?
year, but you have to get to the cap, which is like 250 hours or something like that. It takes a little while to get to it. Like it's kind of like an old timer thing where you don't usually cap off until you like are there for a while, and you're like the system that you're in builds up too much for you to even kind of use. But it does cap off, and that is a use it or lose it type situation once you hit that cap. The thing that doesn't have a cap and isn't a use it or lose it situation is our sick pay, right? And we actually get like these little like instructional videos of like why it's bad that you use your sick pay. And obviously it's there, it's an emergency. If something does happen, you should use it, obviously. But there's no cap to it. And when you retire, you get paid out all of that money. So it's literally just like another TSP account. So you got a TSP account, the sick pay that you don't use, which there's like some people that are working like 30 something years and they got like 900 like sick pay hours. It's like insane.
That's crazy. I've never heard of something like that where your sick time just gets paid out to you. Like
Yep.
sick time, I've always thought it's just something that's there, and if you use it, you use it. And if you don't use it, no, you're SOL.
No, this is it's completely 100% paid out when you retire. All of your sick pay. So if you don't use, I haven't used one stitch of sick pay since I've started. So I just look at that like it's just like another part of my 401k. So, and then the last one, and this one will definitely be another one when we get closer to that time, that wonderful time. Um, Peak season tips. Um, this is actually going to be another callback to the next segment that we're going to do. But peak season tips is we get money from the residents and all of the people that we deliver to. Depends on like what area of the neighborhood. A lot of times, like I deliver to a pretty affluent neighborhood. Gratuity towards mail carriers is like commonplace thing. But if you are lucky enough to be a regular, especially, and you're in a route and you get like good relationships, once again, good relationships, and you become a part of the community. Once it comes around to the holiday season, you're like part of the family. You get just like anything else, like anyone else, of that family. You get a lot of times like my house just becomes like full of like cookies and different types of chocolates and stuff that all of the people that I deliver to, they give us lots of goodies. But that'll become another topic once we get closer to the holiday season. So, but moving on, this is hopefully that was not too, I try not to get too dark about being a mail carrier. It's a crazy job, but in my opinion it's worth it because of all of the benefits that I mentioned and all the ones that I maybe forgot to mention. And speaking of so a benefit is being able to see your fellow mail carriers on television or TV. So we're gonna do a mailman of the show reference here.
Who's our
So
mailman today?
yes, it is Mike the mailman from Bob's Burgers. I hope people out there get a chance. This is one of my favorites. Absolutely. This is like when I thought of doing this skit and putting this in the show. This was one of the people I wanted to talk about like instantly. So, have you seen Bob's Burgers, Griffin?
Yeah, I used to watch it regularly a long time ago, and I kind of fell off of watching it.
Yeah, it's one of those where like you open up like Hulu or like YouTube TV, and it's like, oh yeah, it's like season, I forgot what season it is. It's like season 9 or something like that. And you're like, holy crap, like this has been on this, like it makes you feel even like older, or it makes you realize like how time flies when we're on like season 9 of this show. I remember just watching it in season 1.
Bob's Burgers is like up to 14 seasons now.
14. Man, that's insane. Yeah, so um but just in case you didn't know, Mike the Mailman on the show. Do you know who plays Mike the Mailman from Bob's Burgers?
I do actually. It was Tim Meadows.
Yeah, Tim
And
Meadows. When I like,
you know how I knew that actually is
how?
because I've been watching Curb Your Enthusiasm a lot, and
Oh
Tim
yeah.
Meadows showed up on an episode of that show, and you had showed me the clips of Mike the Mailman, and I recognized the voice, and it sounded familiar to me, so I kind of made the
Yeah.
connection there.
Uh he's the ladies man, obviously, just in case you didn't
The
know.
ladies' man,
Yeah,
folks.
which is actually a Saturday Night Live skit. And he's also in Semi Pro, and oh man, an old school reference talking about feeling old. He's in Coneheads. Um, but going back to like the last time we had this segment and Newman from Seinfeld, I think Mike the Mailman is a very closer representation of what like a carrier does, from like week to week, or like from when he uh, is represented in the show. He's got like that kind of humor, and it's kind of like a sarcastic humor. But like Newman was like kind of to me represented. I think that's just, I guess it's in life, or like in like all employment, you get like the two different types, like the jaded, like Newman's painted as a guy that's basically like,
He's a
I think that's kind of,
stereotype of the bad postal employees.
I think there's just stereotype of like a government worker. You know what I mean? Like the DMV worker, or the postal employee, or like the like I said, it's at some point it was like known, or like it was meant as like the joke was like, like a government employee was like kind of like milking the system as far as like their job. But Mike the mailman is the other side of the coin, as far as to me, like what mail carriers actually do, where it doesn't seem like it bothers him that he's like Newman. It seemed like it like personally bothered him that he was actually a mailman. But Mike the mailman, I think he kind of like owns it, a little bit. He wears it. And it's like, I don't know, the jokes are, kind of to me a little bit closer to like what it's like to be a mailman. So do you have anything that you think of specifically when you think of Mike the mailman?
I just liked his delivery and just how smooth he is on everything.
Yeah, I like the thing where there's actually an episode where like it bases around Linda becoming a mail clerk.
Yeah.
And they keep on like cutting to like Mike the mailman, and he has like these one-liners. And then like Linda steals a package out from like the station. And so they basically, it's kind of like the fugitive. They call like Mike the mailman to like rein her in and bring her back with the package. And like the manager calls Mike, and she's like, you need to handle this now. And he's like, I'll handle it with care. Like and he's like, did that sound cool? And she's like, kind of, you know and then they like, I don't know, like he's like talking to someone else, and he's like, baby, I can't fail the mail. And he's like, did that sound cool? And she's like, no, not really. He's like, damn it. And he's like, oh, I'm taking it back to the plant. He's like with Linda, and he's like talking about the package. I'm taking the package back to the plant. It's the law. And then like Gene's like, that sounded cool. And he's like, finally. So, and then like they're all like, when he actually does like find Linda and he's like getting ready to take the package back, and he's like, don't mess with the mail carriers. We all know the surface streets. And it's like I said, he's a little bit more of like a representation of like what mail carriers like when you watch a show and you're all like, yeah, like the writers got it. Like that's what it's like being a mail carrier. And then like uh he like there'll be a time where like he came, I think it was like his first appearance, he came in and he's giving like Bob from Bob's Burgers gives him all of like the mail, and he's like, bills. He's like, oh man, like why are you giving me all this stuff? I don't want all this stuff. And then Mike was like, oh sure, everyone complains about the mail, everyone doesn't like the mail I give them. He's all like, but no one thinks about the mail I don't give them. Like, and it was like, I don't know, like I said, it's just when you're a carrier as well, like I don't know, it's kind of like your ears perk up a little bit when there is a character that's a mail carrier. And I kind of like, I don't know, like I said, I think Mike the mailman kind of like is a little bit like nail on the head, head on the nail. I don't know, is a little bit more closer to like what it's really like being a mailman. I don't know, he's just, his jokes are so like it's not like he's like you know I don't know, like he doesn't complain about being a mail carrier. He just like kind of like he's very sarcastic about being a mail carrier. So, but moving on. I don't have a very good segment for this, and I'm trying to.
Well, we got to get back to the tally marker game, right?
Yes, the underdog tally mark game. Yes, the underdog tally mark. Oh man, like last week we did this, and then the thing is
I
like
won and you lost.
Yes, that's once again spoiling it. No, well, if anyone is like following along, they would see. And what happened is Griffin picked a game that was later on that day, right? And then I had a game that was Monday, like he picked a game for the same day, and I picked it for Monday, and then I went on and oh yeah, let's enjoy this. And I watched and I saw that Orlando, beat the Suns by 10 points.
By 15.
It was our 15. God, even worse. So then I saw it, and then I like immediately like I was like, I'm screwed, because now I not only like know that like the best scenario of this week is that we're gonna be tied. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But most likely scenario, because I have a team, I have a college basketball team that's playing Duke the next day, and I have to cheer for that upset for me to just to break even. So yes, Griffin is currently 1-0, and Jeff Rowe is currently 0-1. But there is one benefit. Do you want to say something to me, Griffin?
This is always next week.
No, it's Thank a Mailman.
Oh, okay. I literally missed where you were trying to go there.
Yes,
I thought we were trying to pick the game for this week.
Yeah, well, give me, like I said, I'm gonna milk this as much as I can.
Oh, I get to go first because winners go
No,
first?
no. You have to thank me for being a mail carrier.
I already thanked you earlier.
Hey, I'm gonna milk it as much as I can. It's National Thank a Mail Carrier Day, and we are
Thank you
recording
for Jeff for being a
Walk Like a
mailman.
Mailman
Let's get back to the
podcast.
show.
Okay. So anyway, so yes, I will go first. I don't know what the exact spread is, but I am picking the Colorado Avalanche, and they are playing the New York Islanders. That's a hockey game, just in case. And it's tomorrow, so I'm like still in the boat. But I think Colorado is a really good team. They got McKinnon. McKinnon's like killing it this year, like he has been for the last couple of years. And it's going to be a close game regardless. And I wanted to kind of, and this was like exactly what I was talking about last time. I'm reverse cursing it to where it's like, If Colorado wins, I get a point.
Are we
But
allowed to pick the same game? Because that was literally the game I was going to pick.
well, that's why I went.
Except for the
That
fact that they're playing the Rangers, not the Islanders.
oh yeah, that's a New York team.
Yeah,
No,
the
you got to pick a
Islanders are
different.
playing the
You got to pick a different
Maple
game
Leafs.
now, and now
Oh,
you have like
okay. I didn't know
yeah.
that was
That's
the
why.
rule.
That's why it's a benefit for going first.
Okay, well, I guess if I'm not allowed to pick the game I wanted to pick,
My
then
see,
I
this is
will
National Think of Mail Carrier Day. It's working
thank
out for me.
yeah. Thank you, Jeff. And I'm being sarcastic with this one. Um, I guess if I'm not allowed to pick that game, then I will be picking the Chiefs +2 in the Super Bowl.
Oh God, I was gonna go there too. Okay, I'll take it.
Since
I was gonna
you're
like say something that'd be
DBing
like,
me on my actual pick, which I
okay,
didn't know was a
that's
rule until you mentioned it was a
this turned out to be way more like dramatic than I thought it was going to be. Okay, you know what? And that's a good call to like what we're going to be doing next show. Next show is the post Super Bowl show extravaganza. I don't know. Are we like we're not in that zone where we have to like disguise it like thinly veil where it's like the big
We've already
extravaganza
said
game
Super
show.
Bowl like 15 times since the show started
Yeah,
this week and
exactly.
last week.
Yeah.
So
No, we're not actually throwing like a Super Bowl party and charging people to see it. So we can say it's a Super Bowl extravaganza show next week. So stay tuned for that. And got anything else you want to say, Griffin?
thank you, Jeff, for being a mailman because you're not going to let me end the show without saying that.
Oh man, you are like beating me to the punch way more than I like. But yes, I would like to formally, as a mail carrier, thank all of the other mail carriers out there. We need to stay strong, united, and walk like a mailman.
See you guys next week.